Well, good afternoon. Thank you, members of the press, for being with us today. I'm Chris Ronayne, your Cuyahoga County executive. I want to shout out to the land and welcome everybody who's arriving here for March Madness. It's March Madness week in CLE, so let's go CLE. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here today to talk about the Cleveland Browns and the Haslam Sports Group proposal for a $422 million Brook Park proposal, 178 from which would be from Cuyahoga County. And I want to talk about the impacts on Cuyahoga County and our concern for the Treasury of Cuyahoga County as it relates to the Brook Park proposed plan by Haslam Sports Group. In total, as you know, the ask is $1.2 billion of the public. So I referenced Brook Park's expectation and the county's expectation, but the county in full is expected to bring forth $600 million to the Brook Park Dome Stadium, as proposed by Haslam Sports Group. Folks, I'm here to say today that the Brook Park Stadium proposal is a risky bet with public dollars. HSG is asking for a subsidy, fully bonded by the public, $600 million from the state and $600 million from the county, $600 million from the state of Ohio and $600 million from Cuyahoga County. Today, I want to unpack what our fiscal analysts have unpacked for me and share transparently with you, the public, why we see the Haslam Sports Group proposal for Brook Park as a risky bet for public dollars. The responsibility to pay for that bond, that $600 million, is a responsibility that would be laid upon the public, not HSG. The debt must be repaid by the taxpayers, not HSG. Many members of the public and some elected officials are mischaracterizing the funding proposal as a loan. This is not the case. This will cost the state of Ohio nearly $1 billion in total bond payments. The same amount is being requested by Cuyahoga County. So what's being characterized and parroted by some state legislators as a loan is just not accurate. This is a bond issuance paid back by the county and the state. Cuyahoga County has spent several weeks evaluating the risk involved in HSG's proposal. Haslam Sports Group's proposal relies on lofty projections and new tax sources on the public to fund their unprecedented request of $1.2 billion in public dollars for their stadium. HSG has asked the county to risk its creditworthiness and its general fund on this project. And my citizens, my fellow citizens, I say to you, that is risk that we should not bear. They ask this of us while potentially, as we're here celebrating March Madness week at Rocket Fieldhouse, while potentially risking some of our investments we've already made. I'm here today at the Hilton Hotel. Thank you to the team at this County Award-winning Hilton Hotel for what you do here. This would be at risk. The Huntington Convention Center next door would be at risk. Rocket Arena, that's hosting March Madness today, would be at risk. Progressive Field would be at risk. All in the name of creating a new publicly subsidized competitor to compete with these entertainment centers throughout Cuyahoga County. Not to mention throughout our suburban communities, our retail entertainment centers. It's in competition with those. I'm not sold. Let's face it, folks. In a relatively flat growth region, to duplicate what we already have is just redundant and frankly a deflation of places like downtown, but other of our cities throughout Cuyahoga County. At its core, we fundamentally, the team at Cuyahoga County, and speaking for myself, the county executive, disagree with HSG's assumption on the projected admissions, income, parking, and bed tax. I want to roll through each of those with you. Again, with the message today that the Brook Park Stadium proposal is a risky bet with public dollars, a risk we shouldn't take. Let's start with admissions tax. Over half the annual funding sources for proposed local public debt repayment are admissions taxes. Let's unpack that. They're subject to aggressive assumptions on the ticket prices for NFL games and non-NFL events. Under Haslam Sports Group's proposals, to meet the assumptions and therefore the debt service with the risk put upon taxpayers, average ticket prices in the Haslam Sports Group model for NFL games would need to climb to nearly $800 a ticket over 30 years. Trends change, sports viewership changes. Think of boxing today and think of boxing 30 years ago and think how it's changed. What's expected under Haslam Sports Group model is that every game will sell at $800 a ticket over 30 years, with fans buying that over all those years. And every parking space will be sold out and every seat. Historic ticket price growth may not be an appropriate way to construct the financing plan from Northeast Ohio's tax base, economic profile, and demographics. Disposable income changes. Revenues are based in this model on the absolute best case scenario, assuming more than 2.3 million event tickets sold every year for 30 years. Let's look at the non-NFL events. Non-NFL tickets sold assume a total of 1.6 million tickets sold annually for other events that are non-game related. It would make, under this assumption by Haslam Sports Group, this dome stadium in Brook Park the highest performing dome stadium across peer markets, as benchmarked to Minneapolis, Indianapolis, and Detroit, all of which Haslam Sports Group has used in their modeling for comparison purposes. It's suggesting that in a market smaller than Detroit, that we will exceed Detroit, Minneapolis, Indianapolis's seat tickets sold for non-game events, for non-NFL game events. The difference with Minneapolis, Indianapolis, and Detroit is they're all downtown. This is a suburban location to which the assumption is we will best the ticket sales for non-football game events in Minneapolis, Indianapolis, and Detroit. We're not seeing it. We're not buying it. Assumption on event attractions will have a negative impact on other facilities, as I mentioned as well. That's the admissions tax. The assumptions on ticket admission taxes for game day and non-game events. But let's look at income tax. In the HSG proposal, income tax projections rely heavily on office, retail, and other non-NFL sources. There are no guarantees. There are no guarantees that development will occur in a challenging development market. As a former planning director and chief development officer in this region, I've seen plans come and I've seen plans go. They don't always meet what was expected. But yet, this plan guarantees it. But the way they guarantee it is that the public takes all the risk on the guarantee. Public entities are being asked to bear all the risk for these aggressive growth projections over a 30-year period. That's the income tax concern. Let's talk about parking tax. The HSG model shows an aggressive 100% utilization for NFL game usage of all available parking spaces for 30 years with no variance. No expectation of down times, down years, down fans. Nope. 100% utilization of the parking lot. And again, you can do the math on the deduction of what those ticket prices are going to cost for parking. The parking prices are going to cost. It's an extraordinary cost, but 100% utilization is the assumption in the model for 30 straight years. Additional parking needs beyond those contemplated at Brook Park at the development will be needed. This is a site that its pedestrian and transit access is actually challenged. It's a site that, frankly, the assumption of full game parking uses all throughout games for 30 straight years is going to be 100% occupied. It's an assumption we don't make, and we can't make. We can't risk taxpayer dollars with these assumptions that are completely always 100% optimistic. The bed tax. Let me talk about the bed tax. There's a bed tax paid in this very hotel. It goes out for various community uses. There's a bed tax proposal in the Haslam Sports Group proposal to levy an additional 1% bed tax that does not currently exist and will require new state legislative authority from the General Assembly. Well, I want to talk about the projections. First of all, the team projects year after year growth of 4.5%. The county, using historic and current data, projects something less than half of that, at 2% growth year after year. Their tax collections that they propose, and again, this is the source that will back the bonds, one of the sources that will back the bonds. The total nominal team total tax collections projected from the years 2026 to 2025 is $375.5 million. The county projected number is $265.6 million. The projections have a wide variance. So you can hear a theme. The overly optimistic projections on the financial modeling put this county in risk. And by the way, let's talk hotel tax a little more. Hotel taxes in this region are already amongst the highest in the country. And additional increases could reduce the competitiveness of the very events we're trying to attract, conventions and other things. The HSG Brook Park model assumes that the Browns would receive 100% of the new county bed tax revenue, notwithstanding other needs. We use those bed tax receipts to service visitor infrastructure like we stand in next door over at the Huntington Convention Center. It could be used for other visitor-related amenities like transit. But this model assumes a 1% increase in an already stretched market because we are already in bed tax at a place that puts us above most of the cities in our country. But yet it wants to take another percent for a single site and channel it all to that single site. We question that assumption. Let's talk about the car rental tax. Once again, the car rental taxes in this region are already amongst the highest in the country. And the authority, because these are municipal car rental taxes levied, not county, the authority does not exist for the county to levy the tax. It will require a new state legislative authority from the General Assembly. There's no mechanism currently to levy, to distribute, and collect the tax. Significant opposition is expected from rental car businesses that are being doubly taxed by municipalities if we add another tax to it. But here's an important point about car rental tax, my fellow Cuyahoogans. You are the majority user of the car rentals in this county. The majority of cars rented in Cuyahoga County are rented by Cuyahoga County residents, not visitors. So that car rental tax is a tax on Cuyahoga County residents. Let's talk about bonding authority and the assumptions in the HSG model. The HSG Brook Park proposal includes Cuyahoga County issuing, as I said, a total of $600 million in bonds. That's their assumption, their expectation of us. For both, in this case, the county itself and the city of Brook Park, $600 million expected of us, you Cuyahoga County taxpayers, that we issue and we back $600 million in bonds. HSD is asking the county to assume the risk of paying back those bonds. And should the revenues not meet the projections, we know what happens. Things go belly up, downgrade in rating. Issuing an amount in light of the county's need for large issuance for other projects that are underway, like the jail construction project, future projects like the courthouse, and other projects on the horizon that are in front of this proposal, well, this would all have a materially negative impact on the county's credit rating, the stadium itself. Even just as proposed, if we were to back those bonds, even as just proposed, if we were to back them, we would see a concern for a downgrade of our bonds, the ratings. It's too risky. Let's talk about the business model generally. The proposal does not include any clear delineation of responsibilities for capital repairs. This has been an ongoing obligation at Gateway between the county, the city of Cleveland, our partners, the Cavaliers and the Guardians. But yet with the HSG proposal in Brook Park, there is no assumption in the model of capital improvements, which we know will happen just like your house. Roofs need to be repaired and other things. So that's a flaw in the business model. Something else that sticks out with us in the business model is the state traffic and infrastructure study required by ODOT. It's expected to be complete in 18 months, but we know that there will be a negative impact on Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. Access to hospitals will be strained. And we also know that there will be an exorbitant infrastructure cost asked of the public in concert with the development of this stadium. Infrastructure already exists here in downtown Cleveland to support sports stadia like Cleveland Browns Stadium. More in the business model that concerns us. Apartment construction relies on the highest average rents in the metro area. They compare to downtown. Office occupancy rates in the county. It's not clear demand for office occupancy, especially in a post-COVID remote commuting environment. It's enough to just try to keep the offices that are here downtown and in the county in place. But this assumes an exorbitant amount of absorption and a high level of occupancy in our office market. We're not seeing it. In a new site proposing new office, that there will not be an impact on existing office space. Folks, this is a zero-sum game. It's going to have a deleterious effect on existing office space. And I mentioned consumer trends, technology advancements, disposable income concerns, demographic trends. All of this has, for us, a concern on a 30-year outlook that is unclear with changing times and changing trends. My friends, my fellow Cuyahogans, the assumed growth in income tax, sales tax, admissions tax do not contemplate losses absorbed by the other communities throughout Cuyahoga County. I want to make a special mention to citizens beyond Cuyahoga County, because my focus as a county executive has to be on the citizens of Cuyahoga County. But there's more in play for residents throughout the state of Ohio. I mentioned that some legislators have said that this is just a loan to the Browns. That is just factually inaccurate. It's a bond issuance to be paid back by both Cuyahoga County and, for their portion, our portion as Ohioans, the state of Ohio. We should be asking the state of Ohio to do what it normally does, which is confer with the State Office of Budget and Management and with the Legislative Services Commission to do the analysis that they do with projects as it relates to the fiscal impact on communities. We need a state-driven fiscal impact analysis, an objective, impartial, state-driven fiscal impact analysis that comes from agencies naturally like the Legislative Services Commission of Ohio and the State Office of Budget and Management. I need to say that because in Cuyahoga County, this has a very large impact on us as it relates to risk, to the county treasury, to county taxpayers, and our ability to do business at a lower cost of money. I want to end on a positive. I stood here in August and I stand here today with the same premise. There is a doable plan for the Cleveland Browns. It's right here downtown. The doable plan is the renovation of our existing facility in concert with a transformational plan for the lakefront. This was first proposed by the Cleveland Browns. I encourage the Cleveland Browns to share with you, the public, their plans, which I have seen, the renderings of an extraordinary facility renovated in concert with the transformation of the Cleveland lakefront. So there is a way to see a far-reaching future for the Cleveland Browns in our region. This has never been Brook Park versus Cleveland. This has never been Cleveland versus Brook Park. This has always been about everybody's downtown, whether you live in Brook Park, Cleveland, or any other suburb throughout Cuyahoga County. But as it relates to doability and as it relates to the issue of risk, the doable plan is downtown, roughly half the cost of the Brook Park expectation. And that expectation is 50% public expectation. The Brook Park plan is too risky. That's why I'm here today, to share with you transparently the analysis of our fiscal team. And we stand on what we've analyzed, and we encourage the state of Ohio to take another look at their analysis and to engage the Legislative Services Commission and the Office of Budget and Management to take a look for Ohioans how this really looks. It's risky here in Cuyahoga County and beyond. Let's do the doable. Let's do the downtown plan. Thank you very much. I can take questions. Michelle.
So last week at Ohio House of General Council talked about this fund campaign that they would make to kind of offer the state. Have they offered to be similar type of?
No such thing. Question has to do with an offering to the state to create an initial upfront dollars from Haslam Sports Group. Explain it again with the mic, if you will.
So I was asking what the Browns last week, they would provide an upfront payment to the state cushion that could provide extra confidence.
And no such cushion has been offered to the county as it relates to our portion of this deal. Kim.
In the filing by the Brown, I gave interest to
Mhm.
On page 21, out there was a statement that stadium or park situated just off the highway would require less than $100 million in infrastructure investment. Kind of first was kind of number issue, and I'm wondering if there's any comment to that. That's a little high.
Well, less than 100 million is more than the 58 million that they've put forth as the number of infrastructure. So we've projected that that number will go north of 58 million, and it sounds like they might be agreeing. I met with the Browns 3 weeks ago, and I shared with them work that we had done in concert with the North Coast Waterfront Corporation and the City of Cleveland staff. I met with them with a plan that laid out 100 acres of developable space right here on the harbor front. Areas north of the stadium itself, roughly 25 acres. To the east, places like municipal parking lot, and to the west, parcels that are just around this building that are potentially developable in the future. We show them a 100-acre development opportunity. They moved on. They moved on. Haslam Sports Group has said one of three scenarios. One, the renovation transformation of downtown with the county. Two, Brook Park, the Dome Stadium with the county's participation. Three, the Brook Park Dome Stadium without the county's participation. That's the choice set that they've laid out in front of me. And again, back to the question just prior, Nick, I'll come back if you want. We have said it's not like we don't want to see a vibrant next generation of Cleveland Browns in our region. We do. But what we see doable is downtown, and we see doable is development around the stadium. And we see all of that for half the cost that they're proposing out in Brook Park. So I have said to them, we may participate with the public's concurrence on something downtown. But in Brook Park, for all the reasons I outlined today, it's too risky for the county to participate in.
Well, the other side of that is, who is this message today? Is this for state lawmakers to tell them
The message today, my hope is that our Cuyahoga County citizens hear our rationale through you that this is too risky for public dollars, for their taxpaying dollars, to use their dollars in this way. 600 million in a model that is risky as it relates to the ability to actually service the debt. So my first audience today is Cuyahogans. But yes, another audience for us is the state of Ohio lawmakers. I think they need to take another look at the expectations upon them on behalf of Ohio taxpayers. It's risky for us as the county, and it's risky for the state of Ohio as it represents the 10 plus million people of the state of Ohio. If I were in Dayton, if I were in Cincinnati, if I were in Columbus, if I were in Youngstown, if I were in Toledo, I'd be wondering about this plan in Cleveland and its risk to my taxpaying dollars to the state of Ohio.
Curious, you mentioned that there are assumptions, they're projecting that there are 100% of people at these games and these events. What do you think a more accurate number would be? 80% attendance rate or something like that?
Well, you know, I've worked in development space for a number of years now, decades, and we always scenario plan. We scenario plan best case scenario, worst case scenario, and something in between. They've shown nothing of that. They've shown nothing of scenario planning. They've only showed the optimistic, top of the line. It's absolutely going to be 100% occupied all the time. Every parking spot is going to be occupied every game, and every resident unit that we say is going to cost commensurate with downtown rents, and every retail space is additive to what's already out there in the region. We're not buying it. We're not buying it. We think a lot of this is zero-sum game with existing space, and trends change over a 30-year trend line. Again, I bring up boxing just as one example. It's definitely changed in terms of the number of seats in the house on any given night of a boxing match from where it was 30 years ago. Mark. Yep. Right. Right. This was planned as a entertainment district, a convention district. We're in the convention district, and you know the arena a few doors down, obviously Progressive Field next door, the Gateway Complex, and the stadium. The beauty of this is that we have 3 professional sports facilities within walking distance of one another. And there's no doubt synergy that's created between these facilities. Look at what Detroit has done. They found a path back downtown with the Pistons and the Lions joining the Red Wings downtown. They've got 3 major sports facilities downtown. Indianapolis and Minneapolis that are the benchmarks for Haslam Sports Group's numbers on the Dome out in Brook Park. They're all downtown. People value an interesting place to walk around, and there's a synergy with hotels like this, restaurants and retailers in the marketplace of downtown. But, you know, it's been a tough decade for downtown. With COVID, obviously, it caused a lot of strain in the downtown. Remote commuting that became a norm after COVID has caused a strain downtown. So we needed to make every move possible to do the right thing every time. And doing the right thing is supporting the infrastructure that the public has built with their tax dollars. And you know what? It's interesting to see that last quarter sales tax was down. That means that this public is hurting. This public is hurting in Cuyahoga County. To ask us to back $600 million in a risky venture, to me, has always been a bridge too far. But the bed tax is up, which means that we are punching above our weight, bringing events like March Madness to Cleveland without a dome stadium. March Madness is in Cleveland this week. We are punching above our weight over and over again. You name it. The Pan Am Games, the upcoming Urban League Conference of Cleveland, our pitch for the Special Olympics, what we saw with the NCAA Women's Final Four last year. We're always bringing people to a place because they value the visitor experience. Site selectors, convention site selectors, sports site selectors, they come here before the fans come for the actual event, and they explore and they study what a place is all about. We've got a walkable downtown with 3 major sports facilities within walking distance. Let's keep it that way. 2 more questions.
If the state does move forward, then putting $600 million million in bonds in the budget. What's the position of that?
Yes, going back to the three options that the Haslam sports groups have presented to us, a downtown transformational renovation with the county's support, Brook Park with the county's support as a dome stadium, or Brook Park Dome Stadium without the county's support. It is a situation I don't even want to see us see. I want us to go back to the basics of building what we can build with the treasury that we have and the partnership that we could build that we've already put together in the infrastructure downtown. So if the state decides on our behalf to fully vest in what was proposed by the House, if the Senate does the same, that's their business, but it is our business. And so, yes, part of the message today is also to the state of Ohio is think about that. Think about it, because it's the same risk that you're putting state taxpayers in Ohio to as we are here in Cuyahoga County. And I'm just not going to put taxpayers in Cuyahoga County under that level of risk. So if the Haslam Sports Group decides to build a dome stadium in Brook Park without county tax dollars, I still think it's a mistake. I still think it's a mistake, but at least we have held the line on not putting our taxpayers at risk. One more question.
You mentioned the competition that this would create, trying to create another version of downtown. I'm curious, maybe or maybe have the Guardians about this potential move and what that means for competition or madness this weekend.
Yeah. I can't speak for the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Cleveland Guardians, but we work a lot with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Cleveland Guardians, and the synergies that they create in downtown are extraordinary. You know, the Rock Hall as well, just downtown. You know, these events play off of one another, and there's nothing more exciting. I know there's an occasional traffic on 9th Street when we have a ball game next to a ball game, but there's nothing more exciting than having a Guards and a Cavs game going on at the same time, or add in a Browns game. That's the vitality of a city that makes this place really the busy, vital place that it is. And we want to keep it that way. So to answer your question, I think you would have to ask the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Guardians for their take on all of this. Our analysis that includes, because we do have a partnership with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Cleveland Guardians, because we do have an ownership stake on behalf of the public in Rocket Fieldhouse. Our analysis is that it would hurt them, that it would just pull away events that would otherwise be downtown. And therefore it would hurt this hotel and all of the 16 hotels around downtown and the many restaurateurs who've made it here. And have frankly banked on the idea of sports as a part of the downtown ecosystem of business. Thank you very much. Our team is going to distribute the report on what I brought to you. Again, thank you.